Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
Hey, this is Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and this is Crime Beat, where we're here with Sheriff John D'Agostini of Dorado County. And once again, John, I want to thank you very much for coming. I know you've been a little ill under the weather, but we thought that this is a pretty important thing we're going to talk about today. We're going to try to get into the truths and the non-truths and all about Proposition 47 that passed in California, 56% to 43%. So it did pass with a majority, and it's got some very interesting language in it. And let me just go over a little bit of what the actual proposition says, and then we can get into some talk about what the effect it's going to be with your troops. So under this, it's criminal sentences, misdemeanor penalties, and initiative statute requires misdemeanor sentences instead of felonies for certain drug possessions, requires misdemeanor sentence instead of felony for the following crimes when amount involved is $950 or less.
For theft?
Petty theft, receiving stolen property, forging and writing bad checks. Allows felony sentences for these offenses if the person has previous convictions for crimes such as rape, murder, or child molestation, or is a registered sex offender. Requires resentencing for persons serving felony sentences for these offenses unless court finds reasonable public safety risk, and applies savings to mental health and drug treatment programs, K through 12 school, and crime victims. So this is what they're saying is happening, and what that basically this whole nutshell crazy Proposition 47 is all about. John, why don't you tell us from your point of view and from law enforcement's point of view what is this really doing, and what is this going to do towards jail crowding and how you guys are going to have to handle these people out there?
Well, maybe best if we back up a little bit. And when this proposition, this law first came up, there were, unfortunately, many of us, myself, my peers throughout the state, we thought this is ridiculous. This is going to go nowhere.
Right.
This is unbelievable. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
And then we watched it start to grow legs, and it started moving through the process, and then they actually got it on the ballot with the very, very erroneous and untruthful title of the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act.
Right, which isn't I think, mislabeled.
It was bad. Yeah. And we all went into shoot mode.
Right.
And I can't talk politics or anything in uniform. So I was going around everywhere I could find in a suit and telling people, this is wrong, this is bad, here's why. The pro side was multi-millions of dollars. I believe it was like $8 million.
I was going to ask you about that. Do we know where the money came from?
Yeah, a lot of it came from Soros and his group, and all the prisoners' rights groups and all the anti-gunners and everything.
Yeah, the anti-gunners went
Absolutely.
For this. How do you like that?
The opposition, I think we raised just over $500,000. So we were very, very heavily outspent.
Yeah.
But we did our part. Almost every sheriff in the state of almost all 58 sheriffs in the state of California opposed this and got with their local. Teamed up with their district attorneys and stood up hard. And for whatever reason, that message, as hard as we tried, it didn't get out as much as we would have liked.
Right.
But so now, come election day, it passes.
Right.
Now, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe that people would pass this, but it's passed. There is a group, Crime Victims United, who I believe now that the harm has been done actually may have some grounds to stand on, and they are working on repealing it due to for a few reasons. Number one, the misguided title of it.
Right.
To go back and repeal it under that, or just repeal it under everybody. And I'm hearing it come out of the woodwork. Wait a minute, I That's not what I voted for.
Right.
That's not what I voted for. That's not what I voted for.
They didn't understand it.
They didn't understand it. They didn't read it.
Yeah.
Well, This is what we get when we don't understand, we don't read,
Right.
we don't get informed. It reduces many, many felonies to misdemeanors.
Right.
And, I mean, that in and of itself is a huge issue. As, you know, and we've talked many times on this show about realignment.
Right.
And learning how to live with that law now.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we have Proposition 47 and all the resulting laws that come from it, the changes in the law that come from it, that changes another way we do business.
Right.
You know, peace officers in the state of California, we can arrest for felonies, even if they're not committed in our presence, but we have reasonable suspicion to believe that the person that committed the crime committed a felony.
Right.
We can arrest that person.
Right.
To arrest for a misdemeanor, the crime has to be committed in our presence.
Right.
And if you look at the courts and the way the prosecution and the courts work, typically misdemeanors you can arrest, but most of them are cite and release.
Right.
You cite them out. You don't have
Right.
time. You move on to the next call and the next investigation. And
It would be a
and you're
non-violent
exactly.
misdemeanor.
So, and another issue dealing with Proposition 47 is when you are investigating a crime and it comes to the point where you want to write a search warrant to gather evidence of that crime.
Right.
You can only do that, write a search warrant under certain circumstances, many of which are only felonies and certain misdemeanors, none of which the new law that changed to misdemeanors are included. So now you've hampered law enforcement's ability to author and get approved search warrants to gather evidence of these types of crimes.
Right, that fall under this proposition.
We're done. We're hosed there.
Right.
So we're talking crimes such as here's one of the new laws on the books. It's 459.5, shoplifting. Okay, we never had a shoplifting crime. We charged theft or petty theft, or we charged burglary. If the person entered the elements of the crime of burglary is entry with the intent to commit a theft or other felony within.
Right.
So if a person goes into Walmart and their intention is when they walk in that store to commit a theft,
Right.
it's a burglary.
Right.
It's a felony.
Okay.
And we have always investigated them as such and prosecuted and filed as such, as what I believe should be true.
Sure.
You go in, you're stealing from somebody. I don't
Yeah.
care if it's Walmart or a mom and pop store that's just trying to make ends meet. You're a thief. Now,
Premeditated.
absolutely, it had to be premeditated.
That's
that was
right.
part of it. Entry
Yeah.
with the intent.
Attempt. Right.
Now it's shoplifting, and as
Yeah.
long as the value does not exceed $950, it's a misdemeanor. Period.
Right.
There's no first, like petty theft with the prior. Before, you could go in and do a shoplift, a true shoplift, a petty theft. You go in to buy something. Your intent is not to steal, but you're a kleptomaniac and you steal some stuff while you're in there.
Right.
You do that once, you do that twice, you do that 3 times. No matter what, that other time, petty theft with the prior, now you're committing felonies. We don't have that anymore. So you can do this over and over and over and over and over again all you want.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Forgery. Again, as long as it's not over $950,
Right.
it's a misdemeanor. Non-sufficient fund checks. You're bouncing checks all over the place. Whatever. Intentionally. Not bouncing unintentionally. You're intentionally writing hot
bad
checks. As long as it doesn't total more than $950, misdemeanor.
Yep.
Grand theft. No more straight 487 grand theft now. It changes it any form of theft. $950 misdemeanor.
Yeah. Everything's based on
all
that
that.
$950.
$950. Even theft of a firearm.
Yeah.
Theft of certain things prior to Prop 47, livestock, other pieces of property were straight felonies. No matter what, they were a felony, including handguns or
Right.
firearms, any
Right.
type of firearm. If you stole a firearm, it's a felony.
Right.
Now, if that firearm is valued less than $950, misdemeanor.
What if that gun is used in a crime?
Exactly. It will be.
So-
Thieves
so-
don't buy guns.
No,
They're
they
thieves.
don't.
They're criminals.
So this gun is stolen.
If somebody steals the gun to do.
If they steal, it doesn't matter what the intent is. Theft of a gun is now a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what the intent is.
Now,
In a residential burglary, if someone comes into a house, that's still a felony. A residential burglary.
Right.
But commercial, no.
right.
Okay, so in some of the drug charges, some of the things that, quite honestly, I believe are an absolute scourge on our society. Methamphetamine,
Right.
heroin,
Yeah.
cocaine,
All the bad drugs.
all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
GHB, ecstasy,
Yeah.
all that
LSD,
stuff.
all
Date
those
rape
things.
drugs, all
Right.
Rohypnol, all that.
Yeah.
Misdemeanor now.
Yeah.
Misdemeanor. Possession is a misdemeanor. Now, what really, that's today moving forward. How we process and deal with these crimes moving forward. So
Yeah.
we've talked about that. What is really egregious, I believe, is the retroactive effect that Proposition 47 has.
Right.
Anybody that is currently in custody on a felony
Right.
charge is automatically, it's a misdemeanor.
Right.
So we've released 3.
Already.
Right afterwards. We released 3 already.
So there's no court process. There's nothing. If they've been in there for one of these that are now a misdemeanor, but they were in jail under a felony, you have to release
If
it.
we go back and go, okay, well, we normally keep this under normal circumstances for a misdemeanor? No.
Yeah.
See ya.
Wow.
We're out. And if you've been sentenced for a felony and you
Yeah.
are serving time, you can petition the court, and the courts are starting to receive these petitions to have them reduced per Proposition 47 or the new law 11, whatever it is,
Wow.
1170.18. Petition for resentencing. Resentence to a misdemeanor, time served, you're out. And even if you have served your time, let's say you committed a burglary or you were convicted of a felony under one of these crimes 10 years ago.
Okay.
You've done your time for that one.
Right.
You've got a few more misdemeanors on your rap sheet. You did maybe another one that is now a misdemeanor, convicted of a felony. You did your time for that one. You can go back and petition for those old felonies to be reduced to misdemeanors. So now we know you're a knucklehead.
Right.
You're just not a felony knucklehead now. And as long as none of those felonies were prohibited misdemeanors, now you have all your other rights instated. We know you're a knucklehead,
Wow.
but now you're just a misdemeanor. Which are just misdemeanors. Prohibited misdemeanors like spousal, domestic violence at the misdemeanor level,
Right.
or battery at the misdemeanor level. Some of those are prohibited. Prohibited meaning you can't own a firearm.
Oh, okay.
So we're changing the whole face, another whole face on the
Yeah.
heels of realignment.
Yeah.
We've already released 3. Sacramento, Yolo County, San Joaquin County, Stanislaus County, they're releasing hundreds combined. The total prison pop numbers that we're estimated, I've heard numbers as high as 10,000, as low as I believe 4,000.
Right.
That are eligible for the petitioning for reduction. And the numbers that I have seen for El Dorado County on the list currently incarcerated in CDCR and state prison that are eligible for petitioning is 11 in El Dorado County. Now another twist in 47, when these people petition that are currently in state prison or in local jail for felony, petition, have it reduced to a misdemeanor, but time is not served and they're eligible for alternative sentencing or probation, they will not be supervised by probation. They will be supervised, the law specific says be supervised by parole.
Okay.
Parole's not going to, they can't handle this.
No.
They can't take this on. They've been downsizing since realignment. And then to top it all off,
Okay.
the title of the law, Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act, the only tie to that statement was the so-called savings
Correct.
that was going to be revealed from releasing or reducing this prison and jail population under Prop 47.
Right.
Those dollars, saved dollars, were going to go towards gang programming, treatments, programs in our schools for gangs and bullying and reduction in crime and things like that.
Right.
So that's the money that is supposedly going to be saved is supposed to fund those programs.
Right.
I have a real problem with that because I don't think we're going to see any savings.
Yeah.
Because we're still in realignment.
Right.
We're still dealing with that, and the cost to our local jails is going up.
Right. Well, they even
though they
admit.
say it goes down.
Yeah.
So the cost to public safety for many more victims of, even though they might not, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll play real sunny rosy rainbows, glory, all this stuff, violent, that they're not going to commit violent crimes. They're still going to be committing burglaries, thefts, drug addicts.
Yeah.
How do they support their habit? They steal stuff.
That's right. They don't go out and get a
steal
job.
stuff. So we're going to see an increase over time. We've been very, very lucky as a nation, really, seeing our crime rates fall
Right.
for decades now. And then we go and do stupid stuff like this. And we're going to watch it turn dramatically.
Well, you were talking about costs. One of the things that was even omitted in the Prop 47 that the reduction in penalties would increase workload associated with resentencing in the short run. Well, what does in the short run mean?
Exactly.
I mean, how loose of a language can you get up there? So they're admitting, yes, it's going to cost more to begin with, but we think as time goes on, it's going to reduce. Our producer's got a question.
I would say also don't forget for California Congress to repeal, they need a 2/3 vote.
Two-thirds
repeal
vote.
a proposition. So it's not even.
Oh, okay. So to repeal
Yeah.
Prop 47, it would need a 2/3 vote of,
The legislature or the people?
yeah,
The
of which?
legislature.
Of the legislature.
The legislature can repeal the voters?
Yeah,
Can
but they need
overturn the
2/3.
voters?
I think that's correct.
They need a
Well.
supermajority vote.
But trying to get them to get 2/3,
Yeah. I don't know.
I think you're going to be
When
dealing with this
their
one.
nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and they themselves start becoming victims of crimes because we now have these knuckleheads on the street that should be sitting in our jails. And we've talked about this many times. I've started to take a new look at how we deal with our inmate population, and we can do better.
Mhm.
We can do better. We can reduce recidivism. One of the unintended consequences of realignment, which is a positive unintended consequence, was how we look at our prison, our inmate population, and what programming and types of programming we give them to focus on those that we know will benefit from that program and not recidivate. It's working. We're starting to see those numbers. But then to turn around and do this, what's the punishment for the crime? What's
You got
the
me.
punishment?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look like check forgery, just in itself,
Yeah.
as long as it's under
Misdemeanor.
$950,
I get a misdemeanor.
no bigger, no
And
big
then when I
deal.
get through with this one, I'll do it again. It's
Yeah.
another misdemeanor.
And
And,
that-
then when I do it again, it's another misdemeanor. And I do it again, it's another big deal.
I do have one question.
So
Okay.
what?
On the check forgery, is it any check under $950 or is it accumulative?
It can be accumulative.
Okay.
It could be accumulative. It's
Wanted to clarify.
Well, I'm trying to check and see if it's
$476 totally, not more than $950.
So under current law, it is a wobbler crime to forge a check of any amount under this measure. Forcing a check worth $950 or less would always be a misdemeanor, except that it would remain a wobbler crime if the offender commits identity theft in connection with forgery check.
Okay.
So there you go.
Okay,
So
they'll get a wobbler.
So then they'll get a
misdemeanor.
wobbler. So what happens is, they have fake ID. So between the forged check and the fake ID, now you've got a wobbler
Now
going
we can
there.
charge it as felony,
Right.
and then the courts will reduce it to a misdemeanor, and
Yeah.
then we'll deal with it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously this is going to as
Yeah.
things go on here, it's going to be It's going to be, I don't know, you know.
The training that's involved. We're deputies that have been around,
Yeah.
police officers that have been around for a while. They'll learn, and we'll get through this. And we're changing our procedures. We were the day after this was the day after the election is when this went into effect, and we've already been holding briefing trainings and everything else. But you have these brand new young deputies that just came out of an academy, and an extensive part of the academy, one of the post-learning domains, is on the law,
Right.
and how to implement the law, and how to work with the law, and investigating crimes and protecting the public, and being a peace officer. We just taught these kids this process. They just learned it.
Yeah.
And now we got to totally flip
Re-educate
it on
them
its
again.
head and change it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're also saying that they're talking about under these crimes, and again, we're talking about like grand theft, shoplifting, receiving stolen property, writing bad checks, check forgery, drug possession. They're estimating that this will be an effect of at least 40,000 offenders.
Yeah.
40,000 people this will affect.
Yeah.
So that means that they'll either be kicked loose or they'll make an appeal for...
40,000, if you figure, give it benefit of the doubt and say 25% of those are going to get the message and not reoffend. That means that 30,000 people
Right.
who will be released back into our communities will commit another crime and victimize another person. That's 30,000 more crimes
Right.
that we are going to be taking reports on, that victims are going to be victimized on, that people got to get through it. I mean, being a victim of a crime is no matter what crime it is, it's
Oh, it's horrible.
horrible. It's
It's
terrible.
horrible. Yeah. It's just...
So that's what we're doing. We're creating. We're not creating more criminals. We have the same amount of criminals. We're creating more crimes, more victims.
So what if let's talk about burglary again, because that's also that. What if it's the serial burglar?
Well, again, burglary in and of itself, entry into a structure,
Right, with the
the intent to commit a theft or a felony within.
Right.
There's first degree burglary and there's second degree burglary.
Okay.
Second degree burglary is outbuildings, commercial structures, vehicles. Those are all second degree burglaries. Those will fall under the new laws of theft.
Okay.
First degree burglary, straight burglary of a inhabited dwelling is still a felony.
Okay.
That's a felony. If you are brazen enough to enter into an inhabited dwelling with the intent to commit a theft or any other felony within, that's still a felony, and rightfully so.
Well, it better be.
But I mean, if you are a person, maybe they're not have the guts quite enough to go into your house, but they're trolling through your neighborhood and they see your cars parked out front,
Right.
and they're locked or they're unlocked or whatever it is, and they're stealing out of your cars. Now we're talking thefts.
Yeah, so you're talking about multiple crimes in this case, and it seems like if you look at this, there are going to be multiples tied to it, but does that still make them all misdemeanors?
The theft.
I mean-
Theft. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Basically
if you,
changing all the thefts, unless it's over $950, are all now misdemeanors.
so according to let's look at grand theft. Under current law, theft of property worth $950 or less is often charged as petty theft, which is a misdemeanor or an infraction. However, such crimes can sometimes be charged as grand theft, which is generally a wobbler. So it amazes me, first of all, how they came up with $950. That was an interesting. Where did they come up with $950 and to be the key?
Well, I've seen it go up over my career. It was $400, then $450, then
So they're following
they just
inflation.
jumped up. They're
They're
following
doing
inflation.
CPI. You can steal up to.
My guess is it's like why prices are $99.95. It doesn't sound as much as $1,000.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound. You're right about that, but it's still crazy. I mean, they came up with an arbitrary number on all of these, and that's what you have to work with. So
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah,
really,
I want to go back and talk. Burglary's different. This is different.
Okay.
Burglary's different. We're talking about where it changed the law was the 459, which is burglary, 459.5.
Okay.
Just for shoplifting. So we're talking about commercial establishment.
Got it.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Businesses.
Now, I ask a real quick question.
Go ahead, John.
Is there any program where the sheriff's department can go over a business and help them to eliminate certain areas that would be like theft? You know, is there any way that, you know, like a small business owner can ask the sheriff's department and say, hey, I'm afraid of getting thefts. What can I do to increase my...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll go visit a business and tell them what to look out for, how to position their merchandise in such a way that it's harder for somebody to get away
Grab
with
and
it.
run, yeah.
Like grab and whatever you call it. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. You know, this is going to the new 459.5. There's a lot of companies out there right now that work with loss prevention, the loss prevention division of corporations like Walmart,
Sure.
Kmart, Safeway, and whatnot, that they don't even call law enforcement anymore. They take care of all of the stuff in-house when they have shoplifts. This is going to make that even more so, I believe, because it's a misdemeanor.
Right.
It's a misdemeanor. And we spend a lot of time taking those kind of reports.
Oh, sure.
And we always, you know, we evaluate the case, evaluate the circumstances, and if we can prove that the suspect, you know, went in, they didn't have any money on their person, but yet they went in the store anyway.
Right.
They had maybe made a statement to somebody that, yeah, I'm going to go, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to go steal a TV. Let's go steal a TV. Or maybe they admit after they're arrested, you know, yeah, I came in, I didn't have no money. I was going to go steal it. We'll charge burglary.
Sure.
We will charge the felony. Absolutely. Now, what the district attorney does on the prosecution side and the
That's a
filing
different
side,
story,
that's up
yeah.
to them.
Right.
But now we're taking misdemeanors. It's a misdemeanor. We're going to be citing people. Have a nice day. They'll walk out the store, they'll go back in, and they'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm almost speechless at this point. That's why I told you I wanted to talk about this, because it's just, you know, if anybody bothered to read it, I remember when I was looking at my sample ballot and I was reading this, it was really, seriously? I mean,
Seriously.
You know, seriously?
Seriously.
So, I don't know. I guess is what we're going to have to deal with. And you know, they're really hoping it was going to reduce the amount of beds that are going to be taken up in county jails as well as prison. And I guess that's what they're hoping for. But
well, they can hope all they want, but we still have realignment that's filling up our jails. So we're still going to be full. We're still going to have bed issues across this state. You know, I know that, you know, the old mantra, we can't build our way out of this problem. I understand that. But we've talked about on this program before about, you know, the mentally ill.
There's a serious problem.
There's a serious problem there. The biggest mental health providers in, I would say, the nation, I know California, is our prison system and our jail system. Mm-hmm. We are the biggest mental health providers there are. We know a good solid number, and I've said it before, is 18%. 18% of our incarcerated population is diagnosed with serious mental illness. 18%.
Well, they're saying now that it could be as high as 50% that have some form of mental illness.
Maybe some form, but I'm saying diagnosed serious mental illness.
Yeah.
Diagnosed.
Right.
You know, if we could just figure out a way to we don't have mental hospitals anymore. The treatments have pretty much are dwindled to nothing. That's 18% we could reduce our population by. Now, where do we get the money? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sitting down underneath that dome. I'm the sheriff of El Dorado County, and my task and goal is to keep our citizens in this county safe from knuckleheads that are going to be walking on this new law.
Yeah. Well, anyway, for you out there watching this, you heard it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Sheriff John told us all about what they're going to be facing and what they have to deal with now. And it's if you had voted for this thing and didn't really read what the proposition was all about, your eyes are probably bulging out right now when you're reading what you voted for. Just ask the old guy. That's right.
The old guy.
Yeah, the old guy said,
I would encourage you if you do have issues with this, if you voted for it and you're scratching your head now, going, "Oh my God, I didn't realize this." I would encourage you to get a hold of. You can go online. They have a website online, Crime Victims United. They're down here in Sacramento, and get on board with them and see what you can do to help repeal this law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just if Crime Victims United.
Yep.
So that's one for everybody to look up. We'll make sure we get that on there. So really, I just thought as we're getting into the holidays, Thanksgiving's around the corner already, if you can believe it. It is with us soon here. I thought maybe we'd spend just a little bit of time on talking about, once again, how to keep yourself safe during the holiday seasons while you're out there doing your shopping and your errands.
Every year at that time of year, talk about that again. Huh?
Every year.
I didn't bring my checklist with me
I
this
know.
time,
Well, we'll do it again. We'll do it
it
again next month because we'll do it for Christmas too.
Yeah, we got Thanksgiving, and everybody. I'm sure a lot of you folks go shopping day after Thanksgiving, when they call that Black Friday.
That's right.
And everything else, and then the weekend coming up after that. The normal stuff. Keep your, always be aware of your surroundings. You're out in unfamiliar areas. You're in mall parking lots. You're in shopping center parking lots. Always be aware of your surroundings. Park near lighted areas if it's in the evening, where you can see your vehicle and you're lit coming to and from your vehicle. Keep your valuables covered in your car. Keep them in your trunk if you have a trunk. At least under a blanket, out of sight, out of mind in your vehicle, where no knuckleheads can't see them, and you become a valuable target, so to speak. At your house, keep your hedges trimmed away so somebody can't be hiding in your bushes waiting for you to leave. Leave lights on. Don't let your mail accumulate in your mailbox if you have a mailbox.
If you're going on holiday, just go to the post office and stop that mail delivery for your period of time. If you're gone for a couple of weeks.
Yep.
That's important. That's one of the key things they look at. Newspapers piling up, they look at.
Yep.
I'll even tell you, while you're out shopping, even if it's daylight, don't think you're really safe. A number of years ago, Paula, my wife, went shopping at Sunrise Mall. Went to the mall, had a bunch of things. She said, "Okay, I'm going to go take these to the car." And this is in the middle of the day. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Put all her stuff into the car, covered it all up so it wasn't seen, went back in to do more shopping. She came back, the car was broken into, the back window was all broken out, and stole all the gifts, all the presents. And this was done during the day. So don't think that just because it's daytime, you're totally safe. They were watching.
Sure.
They saw exactly what she did.
Sure.
Yeah, and took advantage of that.
Yep.
So it can happen just that fast. So be aware, like I teach in my classes, awareness of your surroundings and be aware of what's going on. And I also always preach, if something doesn't look right, it's probably not right. That means get yourself out of the situation. Don't put yourself in the situation. So be aware of your surroundings. Be aware, if something doesn't, we still have that in our DNA, that little back of the neck hair stand up thing. Pay attention to that.
Yes, sir.
Get yourself out of Dodge. So that's my little preaching that I do in all my little classes here. So I want to thank John for coming again, Sheriff DeAugustini, for this. I also want to, as we get into next month, we'll talk a little bit more about other things that are happening with the sheriff's facilities and all those stuff that we haven't covered today. We'll talk about that next month. But this month I want to wish everybody out there a very merry, happy Thanksgiving, and be safe out there. Make sure that you're doing everything right. And you know what? We'll see you next time.